our environment.
Hello children, how was your previous class? Did you all understand the topic? Yes, we had discussed excretion in humans. Did you understand what is excretion? What is the functional unit of the excretory system? How is urine produced? What is the structure and function of nephron? I hope all these are clear to you because nobody asked me any doubt and I assume that you have understood that topic well. If there is any doubt, there is again time, you may ask me. Clear it. Today we are going to start the last topic, that is our environment. Our environment is a very small topic, very easy topic, at the same time very, very important topic, which is very essential for day-to-day life, which we should understand and know the importance of our environment to maintain a proper health. It's very, very important. So today we are going to discuss something related to what are the components of our environment, what is ecosystem, what are the main components of an ecosystem, what are the things transferred from one level to the other, all that we will be discussing. Our environment consists of different ecosystems. What is an ecosystem? So in an environment there are different ecosystems. Ecosystem is a system in which living and non-living components interact for its survival. So that system, these ecosystems are self-sustaining systems. There are living organisms and the non-living components. Living organisms constitute the biotic component and non-living component is called as the abiotic component. So in these ecosystems, biotic and abiotic components interact and they survive. So without the interaction with the non-living component like air, water, soil, etc., the living organisms cannot survive. Is that clear? So ecosystems are self-sustaining systems. There are different varieties of living organisms and they interact with the non-living component, that is abiotic component, and the system survives or sustains. These ecosystems are of two types, natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. For example, forest, desert, ocean, pond, etc. are natural ecosystems. They are seen in nature, exist in nature. Whereas an aquarium is an artificial ecosystem. Kitchen garden is an artificial ecosystem. We are growing plants according to our need and we are creating an ecosystem. Is that clear now? So ecosystems may be natural ecosystem or artificial ecosystem. In a natural ecosystem, there are producers. In any ecosystem, you can see producers are there. These producers are eaten by primary consumers. Primary consumers are eaten by the secondary consumers. And these are eaten by the tertiary consumers, which are the top carnivores. Tertiary consumers. Understood? So in the ecosystem, the lowest level is formed by the producers. Producers are usually green plants. So only green plants on earth can absorb light energy and synthesize their own food by the process of photosynthesis. Certain organisms directly or indirectly, all the other organisms directly or indirectly depend upon plants. The organisms which directly depend upon plants are called as primary consumers. They are usually herbivores. Animals that depend upon plants are called herbivores. So herbivores are called as primary consumers. Animals which depend upon the primary consumers, that is herbivores, are called as secondary consumers. They are usually carnivores. Animals which depend upon the carnivores are called as tertiary consumers. They are usually the top carnivores, big carnivores. Is it clear? So any ecosystem consists of producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. Hope it is clear. Any ecosystem has food chain and food web. Organisms are able to survive in an ecosystem only because there is a food chain existing in that ecosystem. Clear? I already told you there are two types of ecosystem, natural ecosystem and artificial ecosystem. Any ecosystem consists of producers, primary consumers, secondary consumers and tertiary consumers. I missed out one. Along with these consumers and the producers, there are also a special group of organisms which are very, very important, and they are decomposers. Have you heard this term? Yes. Decomposers are organisms which help in decaying or decomposition of dead plants and animals. So when plants and animals die, they are decomposed and mixed with the soil by the action of certain organisms like bacteria and fungi. So they are also very, very important. Just imagine if decomposers are not there, there won't be any place on earth to live, because all dead plants and animals will get piled up. That is not happening because as and when plants and animals die, they get decomposed and they get mixed with the soil. And that big work is done by a group of organisms which are called as decomposers. If you have watched an aquarium, or if you are having an aquarium, just imagine if a fish dies in an aquarium. What will you do? Will you leave it as it is so that the decomposers will decompose it? No. It will start stinking after some time. So we have to clean the aquarium at proper time intervals. But the pond need not be cleaned like that. It is a natural ecosystem. So cleaning is done by itself. But an aquarium has to be cleaned during proper time intervals, because there are no agents there in the aquarium for cleaning to be done. We may put certain type of varieties of fish which cleans the tank. But when a fish dies, there are no organisms there in the aquarium which decomposes and mixes. Do you understand? So, a natural ecosystem, it is a self-sustaining system. In a forest, if an organism dies, we are not going to take it and bury it. In time course, what happens? They get decomposed and mixes with the soil. We are not going to add nutrients to the plants in the forest. It grows on its own. And where do the nutrients come from? From the decomposed matters. Is that clear? It is forest is a self-sustaining system, we have said. You have learned in lower class. So in any ecosystem, a strong food chain will exist. What is a food chain? It is a chain formed by the process of eating and being eaten. For example, I told you all food chain, any ecosystem has food chain, and in all ecosystem, primary things are plants. Plants are the producers. Only plants can take the light energy from the sun and prepare its own food. Plants are eaten by insects. I am just writing a food chain here. Insects. Insects are eaten by hen. Hen is eaten by fox. Fox is eaten by lion. Just I am writing here. Just an example. So this is a food chain. Insects eats plants. Insect is being eaten by hen. Hen is being eaten by fox. Fox is being eaten by lion. So this is a chain formed by the process of eating and being eaten. Is that clear? So in this food chain, each organism is a trophic level. What is a trophic level? Each organism in a food chain forms a trophic level. So in this food chain, what is the first trophic level? Plants. In this food chain, which organism forms the third trophic level? Quickly guess. Yes, hen. In this food chain, which organism forms the second trophic level? Insects. How many trophic levels are there in this food chain? Yes, 5 trophic levels. 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Rarely you will see a food chain with 5 trophic levels. Almost all food chain, most of the food chain consists only of 3 to 4 levels. 3 to 4 trophic levels. Rarely you see 5 trophic levels or so. We will see what is the reason. Okay. In this food chain, I told you each organism in a food chain is termed to be trophic level. In any food chain, 3 things are transferred. What are they? Energy, nutrients and chemicals. 3 things are transferred in a food chain. Energy, nutrients and chemicals. Energy flow is a non-cyclic process. It is unidirectional. It moves only in one line, in one direction. Whereas nutrient flow is a cyclic process. Nutrients are being cycled. Whereas chemicals is different. Along with this nutrient, energy and nutrients, we don't have produce a food chain in order to transfer the chemicals. Chemicals are also being transferred in a food chain, which are harmful to us. Clear? But this chemicals is transferred in some other way. As the level increases, as the trophic level increases, accumulation of chemicals will increase. So we will be learning about 3 things. First, let us see energy. I told you energy is unidirectional. Energy flow is a unidirectional flow. Energy flow is unidirectional. Nutrient flow is cyclic. It's a cyclic process. It is being cycled. For example, nutrients. What is there in the plant body is transferred to insect's body. Whatever nutrients are there in the insect body will be transferred to hen's body. Whatever nutrients from the hen's body is transferred to fox and then to lion. When the lion dies or when the fox dies, any level die, the nutrients will be fixed in the soil and again these nutrients are absorbed by the plants for the growth. So nutrients are not getting lost anywhere. It is either in the body of the living organisms or in the soil. And from the soil, plants again can utilize it for their growth. So it is a bio-geochemical cycle. Last year you have learned. Bio, living organisms, geo, geographical factors like air, water, soil, and it is being cycled between these 2 components, living and the non-living component. So nutrient flow is a bio-geochemical cycle. Nutrients are being cycled between the living and the non-living component. Whereas energy flow is unidirectional. It is a non-cyclic process. Energy flow is also called as 10% law. This can also be termed as 10% law. We'll see why. Even if the plants are facing in the sun for the whole day, plants will absorb only 1% of the light energy. Already in the first chapter you have learned, light energy is absorbed by the chlorophyll pigment in the plant, in the leaf. Light energy is converted into chemical energy and stored. And with the help of this energy only the food is synthesized. Can you recall? Do you remember all those things? Okay. So this energy that is absorbed by the light, by the plants, is used for synthesizing food. Major part of the energy is lost from the organism in the form of heat. Major part is lost from the organism in the form of heat. Some amount of energy is used for cellular activities, for growth and development, etc., for reproduction. So leftover energy is stored as food. Once again I repeat, even if the plants are facing the sun for the whole day, plants will absorb only 1% of the light energy from the sun. This energy is used for preparing food. Major part of the food or the energy in the food is lost from the body as heat. Some amount of energy is used for cellular activities, for growth and development, and also for reproduction. The leftover, maybe only up to 10% of the energy is stored in the form of food. 10% of the light energy is stored in the form of food. When an insect depends upon the plant, this energy is passed on to the insect's body. From this 10%, some amount is lost as heat, some amount is used for cellular activities, for growth and development, and also for reproduction. So out of this 10% energy which is passed on to the insects, major part 90% is used for all these activities and 10% is stored in the form of food. When a hen depends upon insects for the food, this 10% energy is passed on to the hen. Out of that 10, 90 is used by the hen and 10% is left. This 10% will be passed to the fox. There also 90 is used up by the fox and 10% is stored. So usually when a lion depends upon the fox, the energy left will be very, very less. That is why, and whatever energy this lion gets, there won't be any energy left to transfer. The minute energy that is left in the fox body will be used by the decomposers for decomposition. So when you say 10%, imagine this is a bar of chocolate. Then imagine like a chocolate. Plant gets this much. Out of this, 90 is used by the plant. 10 is stored as food. So when insect depend upon plant, this 10% is passed on to insect. 90% of this is used by the insect and 10% is stored. When hen depend upon insect, out of this 90 is used and 10 is stored. You can just imagine, out of this if I break, a small bit will be left. That small bit will be passed to fox. Out of the small bit, 90 will be used by the fox and another small bit of thing will be left to the lion. So as the level increases, the 10% what we say will also be less. And this is the reason why a food chain consists only of 3 to 4 levels. You can see rarely that consists of 5 levels. Hope this is clear. Energy flow is unidirectional. Since only 10% is transferred in each level, it is also called as 10% law. Energy that is transferred to one level will not be transferred backwards. Whatever energy is passed on to the insect, from the insect's body, it will never be passed back to plants. That is why it called as unidirectional. Only one direction it will flow. It won't flow backwards. So that part is clear. Isn't it? Now we will go to chemicals. Nutrients already I told you. Chemicals, we don't purposefully transfer chemicals. Chemicals are also transferred in a food chain. We spray a lot of chemicals on plants to protect them from pests. Some amount of chemicals get washed away during rain. Some amount of chemicals remain on the plant itself. When we consume or when we depend upon plants for our food, though we wash it before eating, still there may be chemicals persisting there. So these chemicals will enter into our body. Not only to our body, in a food chain, it may enter insect's body. Let us take the same example so it will be clear. The chemicals, when the insects depend upon plants, the insects chemicals which are there on the plant body will enter the insect's body. When a hen depend upon insects, some amount of chemical that has entered the insect's body will be excreted, but major part will remain in the body itself. When a hen depend upon insects for the food, the chemicals that have already accumulated in the insect body will be transferred to the body of hen. Hen not only depend upon insects, hen will directly depend upon plants also for food. So chemicals can enter into the body of the hen when it depends upon the plant directly. It can also enter through air that it breathes. It can also enter through the water that it drinks. There may be pollutants in air and water also. When a fox depends, suppose instead of fox, if you are writing humans, we also depend upon hen. Suppose if you are writing human, okay, instead of fox, if I write humans, for easy understanding, I write human here. Or man will write, that will be better. Man. So when a man depend upon hen, all the chemicals that has already accumulated in the hen's body will be transferred to man. We directly depend upon plants for our food. That way also chemicals can enter into the body. We depend upon air and water also for our survival. So through that source also chemicals can enter into our body. So when we take a food chain, the accumulation of chemical will be more in the organism which are there in the third level or fourth level or fifth level when compared to the organism which is there in the first level. Why is it so? Because only very little amount of chemicals will be excreted or removed from the body. Major part gets accumulated in the body itself and it will be transferred to the next level. So as the level, trophic level in the food chain increases, the accumulation of chemicals will also increase. This phenomenon is called as biological magnification. Biological magnification. Magnify becomes bigger. What is biological magnification? As the level in the trophic level in the food chain increases, the accumulation of chemicals will also increase. This phenomenon is called as biological magnification. Bio, living organisms. The accumulation of chemicals in the living organism's body will increase as the trophic level increases. This phenomenon is called as biological magnification. Is it clear? 10% law you must understand very clearly. One more question is usually asked from the 10% law. And why does a food chain consist of only 3 to 4 levels? Why is energy flow called as unidirectional or 10% law? So it's very, very important. They may ask you, the plants has 1000 calories of energy. How much calorie of energy does a hen get? They may give you a food chain as example in the question paper and they will ask you how much energy does a hen get? Or they may give you the calories of energy in hen and ask you how much energy is there in insect's body or in a plant. So you must know how to calculate. Because in each level only 10% is transferred. So you can calculate and say the answer. So that is the first part of the chapter. Next topic is ozone layer. Ozone layer is familiar to you. Ozone is a harmful gas. This O3. Ozone is represented by O3. But this ozone plays an important role and protects us from harmful UV radiations from the sun. So ozone layer is important, protects from us from harmful ultraviolet radiations. So in this topic, we will learn how this ozone layer is formed, how is it getting affected, and what are its effects. How is it formed? Oxygen is there in the atmosphere. When UV rays fall on this oxygen, it is split into free oxygen molecules, O plus O. When this free oxygen joins with this O2, O2 is oxygen. So free oxygen joined with O2, it becomes O3. This is how ozone layer is formed. But what happens is, due to the emission of harmful gases, CFCs, etc., chlorofluorocarbons, etc., this recombining of oxygen with oxygen is not taking place. So what happens? Oxygen is getting split and forms O plus O. But this recombining of oxygen with O2 is not taking place due to the emission of harmful gases like, which are CFCs, methane, etc. So ozone layer is getting depleted. Due to the depletion of ozone layer, harmful ultraviolet radiation is reaching the earth. Actually, ozone is forming a shield and protecting our earth. When this is getting depleted, these harmful rays comes down and leads to so many diseases. For example, cataract in the eye. It is also affecting the babies inside the womb. It affects the plants, reduces the crop production. Come to the end of this chapter. Content is very less. You know, lot of wastes are formed. Some of the wastes are biodegradable, some of the wastes are non-biodegradable. Yeah, we have to take steps to reduce the use of non-biodegradable materials so that we can reduce the harmful effects or the harm caused to our nature. When we protect our nature, it becomes a good place for us to survive. So dear children, we will take steps to improve our lifestyle, reduce the dependence on fast food or the modern lifestyles, and reduce the harm caused to our environment and nature. Let us now recall the things that we have learned so far with the help of a video. So you will be understanding all the topics very clearly. First, let us discuss what is ecosystem. An ecosystem is a natural system consisting of all plants, animals and microorganisms in an area functioning together with all the non-living physical factors of the environment. The components of the ecosystem consist of biotic factors, that is all living organisms, and abiotic factors, that is physical factors such as sunlight, temperature, etc. Chemical factors such as mineral content, soil moisture content, etc. Types of ecosystem. Different types of ecosystem are natural ecosystem like forest, desert, grassland, mountains, etc. Artificial ecosystems like park, garden, crop field, zoo, etc. Next, classification of biotic components of the ecosystem. Biotic components of our environment can be classified into three major types. First, producers, consumers, and decomposers. Next, producers are organisms like green plants that produce organic compounds from inorganic compounds. A consumer is the organism that obtains nutrients from other organisms. Decomposers are usually microorganisms which decompose dead plants and animals. They decompose complex organic substances into simpler inorganic substances in the soil, which are again used by plants. Next, in every ecosystem there is a food chain. A food chain is a succession of organisms in an ecological community that contributes or constitutes a continuation of food energy from one organism to the other. A food chain begins with a producer. Producers are eaten by primary consumers, which are eaten by secondary consumers, some of which may be in turn eaten by tertiary consumers. So it is a chain formed by eating and being eaten. Trophic levels in a food chain. Each step in a food chain where transfer of food energy takes place is called trophic level. The first trophic level consists of producers, the second primary consumers, third the secondary consumers, and fourth the tertiary consumers. Since the transfer of energy decreases as the level increases, the trophic level or the food chain consists only of 3 to 4 levels. Energy flow in trophic level in a food chain. Green plants absorb about 1% of solar energy falling on the leaves and stores. During the transfer of food energy from one trophic level to the other, 90% of the energy is lost to the environment and only 10% is transferred to the next trophic level. So, there is a decrease in the amount of food energy transferred at every trophic level. What is biological magnification? Harmful chemicals like insecticides and pesticides, which are used to protect crops from insects and pests, are absorbed by plants and enter the food chain. Since these chemicals are non-biodegradable, they get accumulated at every trophic level and their concentration increases. Since human beings occupy the highest trophic level, the concentration of these harmful chemicals is maximum in our bodies. The increase in concentration of harmful chemicals in the bodies of organisms at the higher trophic level is called biological magnification or biomagnification. Next, what is food web? The complex system of interrelated food chain is called food web. How do human activities affect the environment? Human activities produce a lot of waste materials which are thrown away into the environment. These waste cause pollution of air, water, and soil. Some of the waste materials are biodegradable, whereas some are non-biodegradable. The household waste is called garbage. Garbage causes pollution of air, water, and soil, so it should be disposed properly. Some of the methods of garbage disposal are landfills, recycling, production of biogas, manure, preparation of compost, incineration, sewage disposal, treatment, etc. Now, depletion of ozone layer in the atmosphere. Ozone molecule contains 3 oxygen atoms. At higher levels in the atmosphere, the UV radiation will split the oxygen molecules into free oxygen molecules. And this, due to the emission of harmful gases, these free oxygen molecules are not able to combine. Okay, that is why it is leading to ozone depletion. The ozone layer is being damaged by the use of chemicals like chlorofluorocarbons that is used in the refrigerators and the extinguishers. So, the use of CFCs is now being reduced to protect our ozone layer. You would have heard about Montreal Protocol, which was established in 1987 on the substance that deplete the ozone layer. It is an agreement that has successfully reduced the global production, consumption, and emission of ozone depleting substances. So, here we have learned an ecosystem comprises of the interactivities between its biotic and abiotic components. Biotic components of the ecosystem comprises of producers, consumers, and decomposers. The series of organisms taking part at various biotic levels form a food chain. There is a continuous loss of energy as we move from one trophic level to the another trophic level in a food chain. The waste generated can be classified into biodegradable and non-biodegradable waste. The use of chemicals like CFCs is causing ozone depletion. Here I have shown you few pictures, and first one is functioning of the ecosystem. By seeing this, it will be very clear to you how an ecosystem functions. Next, here we can see the transfer of energy, how the energy is transferred from the sun to various levels. This is a simple food web where you can see different organisms in different levels, how it is connected. It's a complex food web. So if they ask you to draw a schematic diagram, you just have to write the names of the organisms. This is grassland ecosystem. Sometimes they may ask you to draw the food chain in a grassland or in a pond ecosystem. So if you learn this, you will have an idea what to write under the pond ecosystem. What is the food chain that is existing there? Understand this lesson. Read the lesson 2 or 3 times. After that, answer to all the questions which is given on page 260, 262, 264 and 265. If there is any doubt, you may call me and clear the doubts. Thank you. I would like to remind you one more thing. After our class, that is on Thursday, on Friday you will have a Zoom meeting. If you want, you can clear the doubts during the Zoom meeting also. Okay, and next week I will be calling you and conducting oral test. So you have, by then you have to be thorough with this chapter. You have to learn this chapter and should be ready to answer to the questions that I ask you. Okay, so thank you children. I'll see you in the next class.